Hey, how's it going, everybody? And welcome to another exciting episode of Wrestling Prime. Thank you for having me into your home this evening. And I would have had this episode done sooner, but I've just been extremely busy with a lot of other things and everything. So I do apologize for that. Anyways, we're here doing the WWE Super Showdown. It happened earlier this afternoon here in the States. It's already it was already dark in Saudi Arabia when they happened, time zones and everything like that. So we won't get to that. So before we get things started, this episode is brought to you by M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Trade in your old video games and consoles from retro video games, accessories, and systems. You can also trade in your DVD box sets and Blu-rays. You can trade in your sports cards and novelty items, as well as wrestling collectibles and autographed items spanning from sports, wrestling, and actors. If you happen to be in the Connecticut area and you want to check out some of the events that I have going up, and I believe they got something going on. They have something going on this Sunday. It's definitely worth checking out. You don't want to miss it. You can check it out on their website and directions on how to get there at mjvideogamesandcollectibles.com. So, all right, here we go. So, Super Showdown was a pretty good show. To say the least, and it's one of the pay-per-views that they have in Saudi Arabia. So only guys were allowed to compete in this. Apparently it's their laws and everything like that, so we can't do anything about that. So I mean, it is a letdown, but still it's okay. So they started off with the kickoff show. It was the Usos versus taking on the Revival. Regular match. Like, they've been fighting a lot lately. Nothing too original there. I don't normally grade kickoff show matches and everything, but it was decent for what it was, especially for those especially if you never seen these two fight before. It was okay for what it was. So the Super Show, so the show started and everything, and first match of the card was Seth Rollins defending his Universal Championship against Baron Corbin. Had a pretty decent led up to this match to happen and everything. It was surprisingly enough, it was actually pretty decent. I'm not really that big of a fan of Baron Corbin. It's just he's just so lackluster as of late, especially when he went corporate. And I gave it a little nickname for him. It's basically Born Corbin. I mean, it's cheesy, I know, but still. But yeah, no, but nonetheless, I didn't really complain about this match. This match was fairly decent for what it was, and it was a very solid opener. I mean, not that much hype into this, especially during the finish, because I also grade on how it finishes as well too. So it for what it was, they had to roll up after Baron kind of was focusing on yelling at the referee and everything, and the referee shoved him a little bit, and then Corbin got the rolled up into got the roll up into a pinfall to allow Seth Rollins to retain the championship. So it was kind of a finish. I would have given this an A minus, but definitely it's a solid B plus. It's a B plus at best. Nothing really to complain about. This match was actually fairly decent for what it was, as I said. Um, then and then with Baron Corbin getting frustrated, he you know he takes out Seth Rollins, lays him out, and then Brock Lesnar comes out thinking that he was going to cash in on the briefcase, but Brock Lesnar um, got distracted by Paul Heyman's botch by the briefcase. He trips on the ropes and excited and everything is going to cash in it and cash in the briefcase and everything, but he stumbles. The case drops down. Brock Lesnar gets a little bit irritated by it, and which allows Seth Rollins to capitalize and just ran a clinic on Brock Lesnar. He basically what Brock Lesnar did to Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw this past Monday, as I mentioned before on the prediction special. But yeah, seriously, everybody, he thought he was gonna, Brock was supposed to be, was originally going to cash it in, but it didn't happen. With all due respect, Brock should have cashed it in on Monday. He should have. The opportunity was there, and Brock didn't do anything. He said, "Wait till Friday." Friday came, he didn't get the job done. He didn't. But overall, it was a solid B plus. So I give it to what it was. Up next was Andrade taking on Finn Balor for the IC Championship. Now Finn Balor has had his problems with Andrade in previous weeks, which allowed Finn Balor to unleash his demon gimmick. Nothing wrong. I actually prefer the demon Finn Balor than regular Finn Balor. It was a good match for what it was. It was really good. Back and forth the way it was, and there were some points where I thought Andrade was going to beat Finn Balor, but that didn't happen. But Finn Balor retains the Intercontinental Championship, and it was a good match. It was a decent finish for what it was. Again, it was a solid B plus. I mean, there no problems, not too much problems with this match. But still the hype wasn't really there and everything. So that's why it gives it a B plus treatment. Up next came Shane McMahon taking on Roman Reigns. Whew. And we had Drew McIntyre in Shane McMahon's corner, and for what it was, and I'm going to give credit where credit was due, good match. They both were really strong in this match. Seesaw battle left and right. And then a little incident happened when Shane bumped into Lil Nate, the referee, and so the ref was blindsided and was blindsided a little bit, so that gave an opportunity for that opened up an opportunity for Drew McIntyre to Claymore kick Roman Reigns, and Shane beating Roman Reigns. So Shane wins that match. It was a pretty decent match for what it was. Not many flaws in this match. It was actually really good. Again, a solid B plus. Um, Next came the Lucha House Party taking on Lars Sullivan. This is a 3-on-1 handicap match. Lucha House Party, as of late, has been having their problems with Lars Sullivan, and so at Super Showdown is where they would try to get their revenge. Unfortunately, it was good at the beginning, but at the end was what happened. Was what made the match worse, because Lucha House Party all came in, refused the rules of the triple threat match, and basically just got disqualified. They basically went to work on Lars Sullivan, and it was a lot of people were just not invested into this match, especially when with Lars winning by a disqualification. It should have ended differently from what it was, and plus also, it was all Lars Sullivan throughout the match, anyways. So it was basically a squash match. So, for what it wasn't my best match. I kind of fell asleep through it a little bit. I'm kidding. I watched it, but I was reading the tweets, and and so I give this match a C minus. This match was like not my bread and butter. This match was not good. I mean, we need Lars Sullivan to have more of a competition, and I think we will get that eventually. But him facing all three Lucha House Party members, it was like not even worth it. So it seemed like either a house show match or like Lars or back in the older WWE shows where it was on the weekend, and you had some big name or mid carder taking on some jobber. That's how it felt. That's how it really felt, and for what it was, it was not a good match at all. But no, don't get me wrong. Lars Sullivan actually did what he was supposed, did his job, and he did his work there, and he basically, he had he has a pretty good move set for what he has, and I don't have a problem with that. Up next was a very anticipated match. These two guys haven't fought in almost 2 decades almost. And of course I'm talking about Triple H and Randy Orton. Very good match. It was actually one of my favorite matches on the card. No problems with this match whatsoever. Nobody interfered, thank God. Everybody, both were just, it seemed like a classic match. Seemed like a classic match from WrestleMania, when they fought at WrestleMania one year. The promos that they had on Monday Night Raw was also phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, and for Triple H, because of the fact that he's not a full, he's no longer a full-time competitor. He's more of a part-timer, because he's more of a full-time COO of the company. So I don't have a problem with him losing to Randy Orton in this match. An RKO from out of nowhere was what did it. Did it for Triple H. There were some moments where I thought Triple H was going to win, but it didn't happen. But it didn't matter who. It basically did not matter who won, or who it didn't matter to me who won, because both did a very tremendous job of telling the story the way they used to back 17 or 18 years ago. So for what it was a very good match, and I give this match a solid A. This match was grade A material. One of the best matches of the night. Didn't have a problem with this match whatsoever. But let's see what Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman, see if they can try to follow that and try to top that. For what it was an okay match. It just seemed like a regular Monday Night Raw match, or like a house. It seemed more like a house show match to me. The finish was, all right, but it was just like, it's like one of those moments where you can get up and go to the bathroom. Unfortunately, I sat through the whole thing, but for what it was an okay match. Could have been better, but it's always kind of tough when you have two big men like Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. They did a tale of the tape, prior to while the wrestlers were coming out, and it was a very interesting tale of the tape. And when they do something like that, it's always going to always wind up being like the big the big men, and it's like you have a muscular guy taking on a giant. Braun Strowman is kind of a giant. Excuse me, hiccups. Braun Strowman is kind of like a giant, because he does tower Bobby Lashley by 3 inches. So for what it is and everything, it was an okay match. Both guys are powerful in their own right. These guys are more both Bobby and Braun are powerhouses. You're not going to see, with Bobby Lashley, he does have some agility moves, and Braun Strowman at times does have that mentality as well too. However, I think that Bobby Lashley is more agile than Braun Strowman. No offense to Braun Strowman, because he is monster. He is massive. But for what it was, it was an okay match. It was just like, basically, something that you could just sit and watch and, be like, okay. So I give this match a B-, and it's like it's time for both of these guys to move on. It's basically just time for those guys to move on and everything. So yeah, B- was what would have worked. Up next came Dolph Ziggler taking on Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. Kofi, basically a good little bit, pretty decent build up, for Dolph Ziggler to come back and take advantage of, going after, picking his spot to go after Kofi Kingston for the championship. He was basically telling the story about how it should have been him and everything. And as I said in the prediction show, he kind of missed the mark when he should have just made like a Justin Timberlake reference by saying it's gonna be May, that Super Showdown, it's gonna be May. I wanted to do, hear him say that, and everything. But for what it was a very good, it was a really good match. I mean, I never have a problem with Kofi Kingston's matches at all. It was, for what it was, a very good match between both of these guys. Dolph Ziggler took a shot at Xavier Woods when he had the opportunity, and then when the referee got distracted, Xavier Woods got in the brought the assist down, did the same thing, did the same thing that Dolph did to him. So, which allowed Kofi to do the Trouble at Paradise for the win. And I didn't really need, with all due respect, it was as I said, it was a good match. I really did not want, I really wanted to see just both Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston. No disrespect for Xavier Woods. I mean, it was good for what it was, but I wanted to see both of these guys, because these guys, both of them are tremendous. They both came around at the same time, and these guys are amazing. And but I don't have a problem with Kofi retaining the belt and everything, because it was an opportunity for Xavier to make the assist, to assist Kofi. I didn't have a problem, which leads up to a good rematch. Because Dolph was furious about the ending of that match, so he challenges him to a steel cage match. Just him, nobody else involved, just him and Kofi in a steel cage. I'm sold. I'm sold for that. And we're probably going to see that at Stomping Grounds. If that does happen. So because of the assist from Xavier Woods, I have no choice but to give this match a B+. I would have given this an A-, or maybe even a solid A. It was for what it was a very good match. I probably would have given this match an A, like a good solid A, maybe even higher depending on how, maybe even an A+, depending on how good the match really would have been if Xavier Woods did not get involved in. Plus, also Dolph Ziggler not even taking his eyes off of Kofi to go out, to nail Xavier Woods as well. Xavier Woods at ringside. Next time, stay in the back, stay in the locker room. Just have Xavier, just have Dolph and Kofi in the ring, one-on-one, nobody involved. Let's make that happen. B+. Up next came the 50-man Battle Royal, and throughout the show, there were some comments, there were some words from some of the participants that were involved into this. For what it was a very good match. It was pretty decent for what it was. It was, very good. During the words for some of the, Jinder Mahal was upset that, that he didn't go in there as a 24/7 champion, because they did a spot on YouTube the other day. I believe it was the other day, and where I mentioned this in the in the prediction show, and where Kofi got nailed on the airplane ride, and then actually no, I didn't even bring this up. So there he was going to. I was talking about what happened on Raw. Yeah, I remember now. So before them showing up at oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Before heading up to Saudi Arabia, they had a match. They were changing flights, so R-Truth was outside of the plane, stretching his legs, and made a phone call and to whomever, and from behind comes Jinder Mahal, rolls him over for the 1-2-3, and wins the 24/7 belt. Later on during the flight, we see Jinder Mahal sleeping in one of the areas there, and it was a funny bit. So R-Truth comes goes looking for him. He finally sees Jinder Mahal. He's sleeping at this moment, so he doesn't know what's happening, and automatically he wins back the 24/7 belt. And seeing that it's 24/7 all over the place, some of the wrestlers get up off of their seat and they start chasing after. It was funny on like, I can't believe they were allowed to do that on the airplane. Talk about a plane ride from hell. And for those of you who are laughing, know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, he locked himself in the bathroom. And pretty much did it. So Jinder Mahal was upset about the whole thing, about that. But he still wants to win the 50-man battle royal. And I'm just out of energy right now. But anyways, the 50-man battle royal was pretty decent for what it was. Not a bad match. It was actually over and done with real quickly. The first winner of the 50-man battle royal was Saudi Arabia native Mansoor. Got a huge pop from the fans in his home country. He got an interview done in the ring, and he spoke in his language there. It was good for what it was. It was a good match. So I give this one a B plus. It was, nothing really to write home. It was decent for what it was. So B plus. So congratulations to Mansoor. Main event time: Goldberg versus The Undertaker. This match was pretty brutal for what it was. It was very brutal. One key note: it was like over 100 degrees in Saudi Arabia at the arena, and so you see a lot of the guys sweating and everything. It was ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. Even the commentators were saying of how because of how hot it was, they were sweating their balls off or something like that. It was crazy. It was really, really crazy. But anyways, it was a brutal start, but because of the temperature in the building, and Goldberg gets busted open for running, trying to run into the Undertaker in the corner, but he winds up hitting the ring post, and which busts him open. So he was losing a lot of blood as well, of how hot it was. It was, he was, you could tell that he was getting fatigued, and Undertaker took advantage of that, like he always does. No take it away from Michael Cole, but it was vintage Undertaker, and he capitalized to win the match. For what it was, it was, as I said, it was a good match. There was one spot where Goldberg was trying to to put Undertaker into the jackhammer, but he couldn't get him up. He couldn't really get him up all the way, so it kind of looked like a modified brain buster, which is a very dangerous move if not done right. And from what it looked like Undertaker almost broke it. I thought the Undertaker broke his neck from right there, but it was, these guys were sweating, and it was like I'd never seen that much sweat come down from so many wrestlers like that. It was ridiculous. But for what it was, it wasn't, for those who were saying it was a botched jackhammer. No, it looked more like it was more resemblance of a modified brain buster. So that's what it's a suplex where you're where it looks like you're dropped on your head if done right. A lot of wrestlers back in the day actually used that move, so it becomes very but it is a very dangerous move. So, but it was still a good match, and I would have given this more. I would have given, for the grade that I gave it, I probably would have given it more than I should have, which is I give this match an A-. I think it would have been a lot better. However, given the fact that that there was a lot of fatigue coming from Goldberg, with the blood coming down, with the crimson mask coming down on him, and with the blood dripping down, and he was getting, and weakened because he was feeling weak and everything like that, and of course with the because of how hot it was inside the arena, it was very, I thought these guys were going to pass out, but good thing that they didn't, because it would have been disastrous. But yeah, I believe that this match was a decent A-. So my overall opinion on this pay-per-view, it was good for what it was. It was a very decent pay-per-view. Not a lot of complaints in this matchup. A lot of people are going to have different opinion, and they're entitled to it. You rather hate it, or you rather like it, or you don't. It's for what it was. It was very, very, it was watchable, and I give this match, this whole entire show, a solid B+. It was a very, it was good for what it was. The best match of the night goes to Triple H versus Randy Orton. It was a very good match for what it was. I was very entertained by that match. Worst match of the night, of course, goes to Lars Sullivan and Lucha House Party. But yeah, for what it was a very, it was a very good match, good show. Not that many complaints about the show, about Super Showdown. I thought it was good for what it was. It's why, there were some watchable matches. Some you can speed pass through, like the Lars Sullivan match, but for what it was a very decent show. So that's why I've given it the B+. So that's pretty much all the time I have for today. Follow me on Twitter at TomDog247. Once again, thank you for allowing me to come into your home or on your cell phone or whatever, to get to hear what I have to say, what I thought of Super Showdown. With that being said, if you missed any of tonight's review, you can check it out as soon as I turn off the camera. Thumbs up the video if you like it. Comment down below what you thought about WWE Super Showdown. Did you like it? Did you not? What was your favorite match coming out of this? I would like to know in the comments section down below. Also, ringy dingy that bell so you can stay notified on what I'm going to be doing next. And more importantly, more than anything in the world, and you could be a champion just like me, and that's lay the smackdown on that subscribe button. We will see you again here next time. Till then, for X Block, this is Tom Dog saying take care, so long, peace.